In the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. And I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense. But if you must, then you must be ready. That's why USCCA exists. Because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. That's uscca.com/GOR.
Just announced.
Yes.
Are you coming to the Christmas party?
I was there last night.
I know. You were only a month early.
I know, but I'd rather be early than late.
San Diego's Christmas party, December 19th at the Valley High. Doors open at, I think we're doing it at 6 o'clock. Might be 5:30. It's 5:30. Actually, all three packs, the Orange County gun owners, the Inland Empire gun owners, and the San Diego County gun owners are all having our Christmas parties coming up. San Diego just announced theirs. Like I said, it's on the 19th. No RSVP required. Totally free to attend. You might win a gun. All the excitement, all the cool stuff happening. So please go to the website and check out the information, and then show up. Come out and have fun with us at Valley High, out Shelter Island. Inland Empires is on the 10th. Go to inlandempiregunowners.com for more information. It's actually at the Thompson's Brewery in Riverside. And then Orange County's having theirs on the 17th, which is Saturday. And they're having theirs at Taps Brewery and Barrel Room. 2 breweries, man. Can we party or can we party, right?
Oh, yeah, you know how to do it.
And Valley High, the South Pacific Room. Nice view of the ocean. So there you go. Now, the Orange County and Inland Empire Christmas parties do require RSVPs. So please go to their website. And be sure to reach out to Carla and Heather and RSVP. Let them know. I think you have to buy tickets for theirs. San Diego's no purchase required. Just come on down. There'll be a little bit of food. There'll be drinks for purchase, and then again, you might win a gun.
What's the menu?
300 blackout Tavor. Oh, menu. I don't know, like sliders and appetizers.
I was just going to see if it's worth coming down. I'll be kidding.
Jolly Ranchers.
Since I was there last night.
I'll get you a bag of Jolly Ranchers.
We had a great time last night, by the way.
What? I don't understand. Where did you go last night? Did you really try to go to our Christmas party?
No, but I was a bum because I didn't.
You're all mad because you didn't.
Well, I ended up going to the Verona Speedway.
It's November Day, right?
I know. And it was colder than a well digger's you-know-what.
Really? So what was going on at Verona?
It was a Verona championship trophy, for the dirt series race cars.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people, a lot of fun?
Next year, Action Jackson's going to get a trophy.
Action Jackson?
He's getting ready.
Are you getting when are you going to start racing, bud?
Well, the season's over, so he has to now get the car tuned up, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You been sleeping in it?
No.
You been in it lately? Probably not.
Yeah.
You been dusting it off, getting it clean?
Yeah.
Good.
We got to
let your mom drive it.
We got to get you like a race car name, a racer
Action
name.
Jackson.
Action Jackson. That's more of a superhero. We got to get him his race car driving name.
How about Lightning Jackson?
Lightning.
That actually sounds pretty cool.
I think so, don't you?
I'll consider it a maybe.
Maybe. How about Mater?
How about Schmedley?
No, Mater Jackson. You'd be a tow truck.
I don't have a tow on my car.
We'll put one on for you. A great big hook. What do you think? You'd scare everybody. They wouldn't want to come near you. Because you have a hook. So, all right.
That's your hook.
Are you ready for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, we even have a blow-up turkey.
Are you already hungry?
You gonna carve it?
No, it's a blow-up.
Yeah, don't carve the blow-up.
Blow up. It'll blow up in your face.
You'll blow up the blow-up turkey. That's ridiculous.
Or are you gonna go down on your? You know where the best place to go for Thanksgiving is your dad's ship.
It's probably right. You probably got a bunch of grub on that
Tell me
ship.
you have a lame cook.
They're having a big to-do.
See?
There you go. The Navy does it
And
right.
the Navy, have you ever noticed the Navy always eats better than everybody else? What? What do you say?
They have more storage.
One of the perks.
So I am thankful for the election. We did a fantastic job here in San Diego. We did a good job in Orange and Inland Empire. We're actually going to have Brian Pepin, who's somebody that we endorsed and got elected in Poway to their city council. He's going to come on in the next couple of segments, and he's going to do an overall analysis, not just talk about himself or his race, but because he's been in politics for a long time, really smart, good dude. So he's going to talk about some of the races, give us some of the highlights and some of the inside baseball, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the sheriff's race, and of course we'll have Stephen Gutowski in the next hour, and we're going to have Sam the Gunman. We're going to have a really good show. We're going to talk about some of the things that are happening nationally and locally. But I got to tell you guys, we just went through a really hard election. Mm-hmm. As with every election, there's some good, some bad, and some ugly. Mm-hmm. And we are now's the time to build. Now's the time to spend some time, figuring out how much more you're going to do next year than you did
better,
this year, and how much better we're all going to do.
Because nothing was a landslide.
Nothing was like there was no, and you can't count on that.
No, I understand.
You know what I mean? You gotta,
but that should be your goal.
Exactly.
You should fight for a landslide.
Exactly.
Because the closer it is, the harder it is.
And what's the AA thing? Concentrate on the things you can control.
That you can control.
Yeah,
exactly.
And there's a lot of things I can't control. You and I can't control.
I know.
All of us in this room together can't control who sits in the White House.
Right.
But we can control who's on our school boards. We can control who's on our city councils.
And we shouldn't worry about,
or at least have an impact.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you vote, that's all you can do.
Well,
I mean, I'm talking about the White House.
Oh, yeah.
Locally, you can get way more involved.
You can do a lot more than just vote.
Yeah. In fact, I think, like Amy Reckert.
Yeah.
I think she's made San Diego nervous.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that, she's not giving up. She's going to continue to fight. And I think she's going to make it next time.
Well, there's a lot of, like in baseball, I'm not trying for a grand slam home run
every time.
I want 100 singles.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or just,
I want to hit a single in every, you know what I mean? Just keep hitting singles.
Well, you want people to talk about you too. Hey, did you see how well Mike played this
Believe
today?
me, people talk about me, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
You want to hear?
Uh-oh, here it comes.
You want to hear the? Let's see, how much time we have. This is my favorite. You're gonna love this. This is my favorite insult for this whole election season.
Oh, really?
Every election season, I personally get insulted by all kinds of people. They come out of the woodwork, and of course, I get blamed for everything.
Well, of course,
and I get insulted left and right, up and down, in every way. And this was my. Can we get a drum roll? Here's my favorite insult from this election season. Mike, your ego is only surpassed by your waist size.
No.
I kind of thought that was funny.
I actually thought that was funny. I can't believe.
And I liked that it was centered on me. So maybe he's right about the ego thing.
I can't believe Joe Germisi would send you that.
I know. I responded, thanks, Mom.
Yeah. All right, Poway City Council member Brian Pepin is next to recap the election here in San Diego. But first, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, call our trusted firearms attorney John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. Call 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at DillonLawGP.com. Mr. Pepin, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Just living the dream. And, Michael, this is supposed to be your interview.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was
waiting, but we can't have dead air.
All right. Brian Pepin, one of my very favorite, now elected, right? This is the first time you've ever been elected anything, right? It's the first office you've ever held.
That's true.
Now, one of my favorite elected officials, used to just be one of my favorite political guys, but now he's one of my favorite elected officials. And I sincerely mean that. I say that with excitement and sincerity. Again, congratulations for winning. You're the newest member of the Poway City Council. You worked hard. We were proud to endorse you, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
How's it feel?
It's good. It was a hard-fought campaign. Like you said, this is the first time I've ever run for anything. I've been around politics since I was in high school, and I volunteered on my first campaign. And I was a political science major at San Diego State, and at times never thought I would ever run myself. But in Poway, half the city council retired this year, so it was a critical election for the future of this community. And I decided, this is where I'm raising my family. This is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life. I want to keep it a great, well-managed city, and so I decided to throw my name in the hat.
And what a beautiful family you have, and congratulations to them as well. Please send my best to all of them, because I know it's hard on families when you run, and you did such a fantastic job of there's a lot of work that goes into running for office. I don't think people really truly realize. So what I want to do, Brian, is you've been around politics for years. You've worked for different political organizations, different elected officials, and what I wanted to do is just kind of touch on some of the highlights, some of the interesting points on some of the elections, whether they're local or state or whatever level. I just wanted to get some thoughts. But before we do, my co-host, Action Jackson's got an important question for you.
What's your favorite gun?
Good question.
Probably the 1911 my grandfather gave me. It was he was a San Diego police officer, and at some point in his career, that was kind of his go-to. And so he passed a few years ago, and so that one will always be near and dear to me.
No, that's an excellent answer. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, so talk about it. Talk to us. So give us your feedback, your impressions, your some interesting points about the election.
Yeah. So nationally, if you're a Republican, nationally it was an underwhelming election, and that's been there's lots of theories. It's been all over the news, and I think, with some races still to be decided, that's still being determined, what exactly we could point to for that. But, in San Diego County, it was actually a bright spot election-wise. I mean, compared to the rest of the country, you saw, a lot of conservatives turn out and vote. Turnout was, statewide, it was 40%. In San Diego County, it's at 54%.
Oh, wow.
And
that went up. That went up since I last looked. 54%. That's good job,
great.
San Diego.
Yeah.
I mean, not good enough, but good job.
Yeah, and if you want to compare that to kind of historically for a midterm election, the 2018 midterm was 66%, and the 2014 midterm was 45%. So kind of right in the middle of what we've seen the last couple of midterm elections. And then, of course, you compare that to a presidential, which has been over 80% the last couple ones. And our primary this year was 35%. So just for the listeners, that kind of gives you a sense of how the turnout changes depending on, a presidential general election when everyone's voting, or a, midterm primary where you've got, 1 out of 3 people voting. And so
there's already, and you already have a couple of questions I already have. This, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not affiliated with any party. And I'm not even one of these people that, I'm a Republican, I'm just not registered a Republican. No, I'm not affiliated with any party. And, of course, our organization is totally nonpartisan. This red wave that everybody was talking about for months. And I got to tell you, it seems like every other election or so, there's going to be a red wave or a blue wave. It's this, I don't know when about 10 years ago, they started this term. That's when I started hearing this wave term. And it never seems to happen. But even I started kind of, going, geez, I think there actually is going to be a red wave here. Didn't happen, though. And do you think that this was based on real numbers? Did it look like there was going to be a red wave and there wasn't? Or was this just kind of a, rumor run amok? Or what's your take on why they thought there was going to be a red wave, and then why do you think there was not?
Yeah, I mean, there was data to suggest that there was a red wave coming. I mean, in the primary, you actually saw, I remember in Supervisor Desmond's North County Supervisor seat, the Republican, it's a D+6 seat, but in the primary, Republicans outperformed, they actually were the top segment of the electorate as far as turning in ballots. And so
Well, hold on. So D+6 means that in his district, 6% higher registered Democrats. If you compare the Republicans to Democrats, Democrats beat Republicans by 6%. And what you're saying is during the June primary, a lot more Republicans showed up to vote than Democrats.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It was a few points more. And so, I mean, it was pretty significant. So you saw in the primary, there were reasons to believe that the general election in November would behave similarly. Now, if you look at the actual turnout in the Desmond seat in the general, you had, even though it's a D+6 district, you had D+2 turnout. So, I mean, that typically, I mean, if you're the Republican candidate like Jim Desmond is, that's still you're beating registration, so that's good news. And so, I guess to answer your question, while there wasn't the national red wave that was anticipated for a number of reasons, I think part of it was that Democrat voters kept seeing this in the news and they decided to send in their ballots. And one really interesting takeaway from this election was there was a lot of thinking that those late mail ballots would be trending Republican. And as you've seen in the last few days, as these late results come in on some of these close races, it's actually trending the other direction.
Which is unusual.
And I think what that indicates is that there were some Democrats who maybe would have otherwise not voted that ended up dropping their ballots in the mail in those final days because they kept hearing about this red wave and they wanted to do something about it.
So what you're saying is they were the narrative out there in the news and whatever was, hey, there's this red wave coming, and so Democrats who normally would not have voted decided to try to counter that red wave by voting.
That's a theory I have. Yeah, I mean, there seems to be some evidence that happened, at least in part.
Interesting.
The other really interesting thing that we observed with this election is, on election day, you can still, even though everyone gets a mail ballot, right? So over the last few election cycles, there's been three big changes to California election law. One is that, the motor voter law, where everyone who's got a driver's license gets registered to vote. So that happened, and that was a game changer. And then, the law was changed in Sacramento to allow folks to drop off ballots for other people. That was a game changer. And then, in this was the first general election where under the new California law that allows everyone to get a mail ballot. Now, yes, they did that as an emergency measure in the recall last year for governor, and then it was made permanent in the primary. But this was a historic election in the fact that this is the first California general election ever held where the new normal is everyone gets a mail ballot. So you get those three things going. And I think everyone's still kind of figuring out what this looks like moving forward and how the voters are going to behave and what, the election day trend is going to look like versus the late mail ballots versus the early mail ballots. And so it has huge implications for people who run for office and how they run their campaigns. It's always changing in California.
Was there a particular candidate or a campaign or an election? Were there any surprises here in San Diego?
Yeah, I mean, Dane White becoming the new mayor of Escondido is huge.
What a pleasant surprise that is. I got to tell you, I love Dane. Dane, I hope you're listening. Love you to death, man. He's a member of San Diego County Gun Owners. And when I say he's a member, he doesn't just pay his dues. He shows up. He works our tables. He's a fantastic guy. But I think you're right, Brian. I don't think a lot of people. He ran for Escondido mayor against an incumbent who was fairly popular. I think it was not just Dane, but anybody running against this guy we thought was going to have a hard time, and Dane pulled it out.
Yeah, and he brings that kind of work ethic to everything he does, and you saw him working so hard for this, out there at every street fair, out there knocking on doors like crazy, really, really hard worker. And I think that was a trend that we saw across San Diego County, and I think why San Diego was, kind of a bright spot in electing some common sense candidates. They just work really, really hard. And, I think it's, California and American politics is changing, and the people that run for office these days, you really have to work really hard. There is just so much going on, so many races in the news, and it's just really hard to get your name out there. And we saw, the local candidates who overperformed were the ones that were out there knocking on doors and working really hard.
It is very much as pure as people wish it were, the political process. it is kind of it's very much a meritocracy. In other words, the harder you work, the more you're rewarded in politics. The more people you talk to, the more houses you walk and knock on their doors. The harder you work, the better you tend to be. As long as you have a couple, as long as your message is okay. And, but I definitely have no. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I mean, in my council race, I walked the district 4 times over, which is just crazy. I mean, for a candidate to be able to talk to every resident of the district, who was home and all that. Obviously, some people are out, out at work and whatnot. But if you walk 4 times, you end up talking to a lot of the residents of the district, and I had just great conversations. It was so good getting to know people. By that 4th time, by election day, I mean, I was on first name basis with people. It was like talking to old friends. It was just such a cool experience. And, for any of your listeners who are thinking about running for office, it is hard, but it's something I'd encourage everyone to consider.
Hey, guess what? Orange County Gun Owners is dedicated to preserving and restoring Orange County self-defense rights. And if you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, you need to join. OCGunOwners.com/join. Orange County Gun Owners is more than supporting the lawsuits for the Second Amendment. They have developed an effective infrastructure that focuses on local outreach and activism. Volunteer at a shooting social.
Easy for you to say.
I know. At a gun shop, tabletop, and help more pro-gun local officials get elected. Become a member today at OCGunOwners.com/join.
That's so true. Before we go back to what we were just talking about, more than just supporting lawsuits for Second Amendment, they've developed the effective infrastructure. Back when I was before San Diego County Gun Owners, Orange County Gun Owners, Inland Empire Gun Owners, there were, when I was a volunteer activist with group of other guys, whoever, everything that everyone ever said we needed and they wanted as far as Second Amendment activism, we now have.
Mm-hmm.
Outreach to women,
right.
We got it, not me. Talking to media, boom, we're
Got
in.
it.
Lawsuits, done.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching new shooter, done. Getting people, done. Every single thing.
Yeah.
When I was throughout the years when we were doing when I was doing activism and another Second Amendment activist would come up and say, "Gee, you know what we need to do?" Every single one of those things, that whole wish list, it's there.
Right.
There's nothing we're not doing.
Well, there's a new wish list.
Well, what's the new wish list?
Well, we want more than 3 guns on the roster.
Right. Well, we're working on it. But I mean,
I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
The activities.
It's not like
though.
we're done.
No, we're not. No.
We are farthest thing from done.
No. We got a ton to do. But what I'm saying is all the things that people wanted in place in order to get us there.
Right.
So what would happen is people would come up and for example, the roster. They'd say, well, we're never getting rid of the roster until we have
this, and
this, and that. Okay, well, it's all in place. Now all we need is you.
Right.
We need you to help us man the tabletops, help us teach the women, help us teach new shooters,
right.
Help us fund the lawsuits. All the things that people said, hey, this is what we need. Boom, we got them.
Right.
I'm really proud of that.
Well, and so you should. And I think one of the
But there's no excuse for sitting on your couch anymore.
No. Well, I think one of the strongest things that we've done is Not Me SD.
I love it.
Every time I talk to a young lady, about Not Me SD,
yep.
They all give me that, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's got to the point where I'm carrying my San Diego County Gun Owners business card because it's got the website on it.
Yeah.
To go.
I overheard you talking to somebody today before the show. I was in here working, and you were talking to somebody about Not Me. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I talk to everybody.
Well, I didn't believe you until 2 hours ago, Dave.
I may not come to a tabletop. I may not do a shooting social, but I am out there every day.
Well, now I have proof of that. So
yeah, that's right.
Thank you very much.
But you know what? You are doing such important work within San Diego County Gun Owners.
Yep, and Orange.
And Orange,
yep.
and Inland. Can't wait for you to get LA.
Ah.
You're going to lose 130
They can't wait
pounds. It's going to be an uphill battle.
Well, so let's talk a little bit more about that. We were just talking to Brian Pepin. Congratulations again to him for winning on the city council in Poway.
Yeah, he had to go out and do some more canvassing.
He got disconnected. He couldn't come back, unfortunately. But thank you so much for calling in, Brian. He was talking about his district, and I wanted to talk about that for just a minute. Poway is now what happened was a few years ago. somebody brought a lawsuit and said, hey, look, these general elections for city councils aren't fair. You have to break it up to districts. And some cities fought and they lost, and it was kind of nasty. And a bunch of cities just said, you know what? We don't want to fight this. We don't want to spend hundreds of thousands on lawsuits. So what they did is they broke up. So there's usually 5 people on a city council, and they broke up into 4 districts. So that you have, 4 of the city council members, 1 in each district, and then the mayor is a general. You know what I mean? So the entire town votes for mayor, and then you have 4 districts. And the interesting thing is, and, they fought, and it was like, oh, gee, golly, gosh, this is horrible. And they said, well, we're just not getting the representation and the special interests. They kept saying that. The special interests are running everything. And here's what's interesting, Dave. So if you have a town with let's say 40,000 people, okay? Just keep the math simple.
Right.
And I got to reach out. I'm a special interest. Right? San Diego County gun owners, we're a special interest.
That's true.
So I got to get people to vote for ABC candidate, whoever, right? Mm-hmm. If I got to reach out to 40,000 people, which is easier, reaching out to 40,000 people or reaching out to 1/4 of 40,000 people?
Right.
So they split these districts up and made it easier for special interests.
Wow.
So
they never think it through.
Well, they don't.
They really don't.
I can't. I haven't decided. I think at first, though, Dave, conceptually, what do you think of that? 4 districts in a town the size of, Santee or Poway.
Well, the one thing I like about 4 separate districts is that your representation from 4 separate districts versus, let's say it was a 4-person board.
Right.
You could get them all from one district.
Right.
Doesn't give the other 3 the representation they deserve. And I think people that live in those districts would be more apt to go out and vote because it's somebody from their district.
Well, so the plus is, you're exactly right. And the plus is you now have a person who's assigned to basically your neighborhood.
Yeah, right. This guy can't hide.
That's your guy. He can't hide. However, here's the downside. The other 3, they don't care about you anymore.
Well,
if you're in district,
do you really think they did? I mean, let's face it.
I'm using the term care very loosely,
yes,
Dave.
you are. I'm telling you. We're talking politicians.
But if you're in District 1, your guy in District 1 is now easier to get to, right? Because he's only responsible for District 1. But now if you're going to talk to the guy or girl in District 2, 3, or 4, forget it. They're not talking to you. Go talk to your guy.
Yeah. But if you're
that's the downside.
Well, and that's a little downside because if you ask me, let's say we're looking for money.
Yep.
For whatever, for a park in District 1. So we want to put a park in. 2, 3, and 4 doesn't care.
Right.
And that's okay because 2, 3, and 4, go get your own park.
Right.
So, how long's it been this way?
They're just a few years.
That's what I thought.
Maybe 2 or maybe 2 cycles, so about 4 years.
So we're still kind of
feeling our way. There's still some cities that are probably going to go districts.
Yeah.
I think it's working. I think that there's probably some
Generally speaking,
there's probably some very smart people out there that'll explain to me why it's not working.
Of course.
But everybody's got their opinion. But in general, the way I've seen it, I think it's working. I just wish that it had been decided rather than forced. I never liked force.
No,
so
I hate force.
They were kind of forced into doing this. Hate that.
Yeah, I know.
And there's going to be
when
some
you
more
force somebody, then there's a reason you're forcing them.
Yeah, good ideas don't have to be forced.
Yeah, that's like you need to take the vaccine.
Right.
Well, I don't want to take the vaccine. Oh, but you have to. We're going to fire you.
Right.
We're going to take your 401k. Wait a minute. So that's the kind of, I hate to be forced into anything because I just back up. I'm not going to do it.
Well, I thought Brian did a really good job of breaking it down. I thought he did a fantastic job of explaining exactly
and he said it right. Hoof, 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 hoof. Knock on doors.
It was surprising how well our candidates, I don't want to say it's surprising, but it was relieving how well our candidates did in San Diego, Orange, and Inland Empire. Okay. We actually did a fantastic job. Now, some of the state folks, some of the federal folks, not as good.
Let's go back local. How did Fletcher get reelected?
Well, it's real. First off, Amy Reichert outperformed registration. Mm-hmm. So I forget however many people are in her district that are registered Republican. Mm-hmm. She got more by I don't know, 20, 30, 40%. Something like it was very respectable.
Right.
But there were so many Democrats in that district. And, Nathan is so public. And I mean, he's
not a good representation.
Okay. Well, it depends on how you defend. So I don't like him personally. I used to know him personally, and I dislike him personally. I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
I don't agree with many. I can't think of anything I agree with him on. Okay, so now put that aside. Now just look at the way he does his job. Republicans need to do their job the way he does his job.
Cheat?
He doesn't. Listen, he gets in front of the camera. He says, look, this issue is important. I'm going to champion it. I'm going to drive the narrative on it. I'm going to get in front of a camera. I'm going to stand up for it. Hold on, Dave. Before you, I'm not saying whether you agree with the issue or not.
Right.
But what he does is good as far as the quality.
Putting it in your face.
And Republicans refuse to stand up and do the same. I mean, he regularly, if you just look at this thing like a football game, like how well the football team passes the ball, how well they hike the ball, how well they run the ball, how well they punt the ball, if you just look at that, he is whooping Republicans left and right. And so the way he does his job, okay? So again, the way he, throws the ball and runs the ball.
I see right where you're coming from.
He's doing it extremely well. And I'm sorry, there's not a Republican in San Diego who has the backbone to stand up to him or be any kind of effective. Mic drop.
It's like the Green Bay Packers.
There's not one Republican in San Diego that'll stand up to this guy in any way and be effective.
Right.
Now, I will say that mic drop.
But isn't it like the Green Bay Packers?
In what way?
You just can't stand them.
I love the Packers. What are you talking about?
I thought you were a Raider fan.
No. Good Lord. I'm an honest, hardworking man here, Raider fan.
Okay, I have to change. Have you seen that tractor trailer? It's a dump truck, and it's wrapped as Green Bay Packers.
No.
The whole truck.
No, I haven't seen
From headlight to taillight. It's got every player on it. Oh, yeah, it's hardcore.
You know what's great? So I used to go to, I haven't been in a while, but I used to go to northern Wisconsin on vacation where my family's got this cottage, and there's some old family friends there and everything. Packerville.
Oh,
I mean, northern Wisconsin, everyone's a Packer fan. Grocery store is green and gold.
Right.
If there's a Packer game happening, Sunday afternoon, whatever,
the town closes. Okay. Now here's the interesting thing: 5-hour drive. It's a 5-hour drive from this little town to Green Bay. Now just think about San Diego. Yeah.
If you went 5 hours north, where would you be? Like Santa Barbara?
Yeah.
Santa Barbara didn't ever care about the Raider or the Chargers.
You won't even drive to Orange County for the Chargers.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's because you have nothing else to do. It's freezing cold and you're stuck in your house.
Oh, come on. There's a lot to do.
That's what I heard.
There's fishing.
It's too cold.
There's more fishing.
It's too cold. And I can't. I'm a jinx. You'll never catch a fish with me.
Anyway, how do we get on that?
I don't know, but it was fun.
We're going to talk about the sheriff's race next.
Yeah,
okay?
let's do that.
I got a couple of things to say about the sheriff's race.
Hey, did you know we have a world-class flight training school here in San Diego? Pilots can fly almost every day. We're close to the ocean as well as the desert and the mountains. SDFTI instructors can help you learn to navigate all around the area. That's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly in sunny San Diego right at Montgomery Field. Getting started is super easy. Call them at 858-569-1822, or you can go to Learn to Fly at SDFTI. But call them 858-569-1822 and thank them for sponsoring Gun Owners Radio. All right, San Diego County Gun. I thought she already won.
Who?
Martinez.
She did.
Oh, but you want to talk about her some more?
Yeah, let's talk about her some more.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about her some more. We're going to talk.
She blushes every time I bring your name up. I don't know what the deal is.
Who doesn't?
She's probably the one that sent you that text.
What text?
The one-
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
What is going on over there, Dave?
Hey, rocking and rolling.
All right, okay. So we were talking about the election, talking about the sheriff's races were the big races in every county, and San Bernardino and Riverside and Orange settled their sheriff's race really, really quickly. So they didn't actually even have to go to the general election.
Really? I think ours was an upset.
Ours was an upset. I don't. What made ours unique was that there was no incumbent, And
True.
There was an incumbent in the other. Well, except for San Bernardino wasn't exactly an incumbent. McMahon left, and they appointed Dicus, but he might as well have been an incumbent.
Right.
So that made ours unique. The other thing is, it made it even more important because they changed it so that the sheriffs they're serving 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go back to 4 years and 6 years, but they're serving for the next 6 years because they wanted to change the cycle so that it coincides with the presidential cycle.
I was wondering why they did that.
I don't know why, but that's why they did it. But I don't know what the reason
Why they
is.
did it.
Yeah, why did they want to do that? Maybe they just wanted more people.
And what's wrong with the 4?
To vote for the sheriff? I don't know.
Yeah,
Because like Brian was saying, it's like 80% voter turnout during the presidential, and it's like 45-50% during non-presidential.
Yeah,
So maybe they just wanted more people to weigh in.
could be.
But who wanted that?
Not me.
I mean, who is that important to?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not me. I was fine.
So there's an interesting step. Of course, in San Diego, we had a hard-fought race, and we won. We won big time. Kelly Martinez is who we endorsed because she was the one that was strong in the Second Amendment, and John Hemmerling was not.
And she was a Democrat.
She was a Democrat.
I think
He's a
that's
Republican.
why it was. I think people were surprised that she won.
Well,
I think more Republicans voted for Martinez.
So that's where I'm going.
Oh,
So that's where I'm headed. So I think it was a surprise, especially in this environment. Democrats had kind of gotten beat up because over the last 3 years they were doing things like encouraging riots, and defunding the police. So it was they had a PR issue. There was pretty bad optics. I think that Republicans were more passionate about being Republican voters than they normally would be because Democrats had made a lot of pretty extreme decisions, let's say. And I think that's a pretty polite way of putting it. Combine that with the fact that we're talking about public safety with the sheriff. So we're not only do our Democrats, do they kind of give themselves a black eye, but they also, they're running. She's running as a sheriff, right? So they're saying, hey, defund the police. Riots are fun. Then, oh, by the way, I'm a Democrat running for sheriff. I can see why people would be hesitant, right?
Well, that's why I say, I would have thought that Hemmerling would have won only because the Democrats were basically on the defund the police side of the fence.
Well, we of course endorsed her because she was a better candidate.
She did the right thing.
Did the right thing. And if you look at the public safety part of it, and the authoritarian part of her angle, I guess, she came on our show and said, hey, what we really learned is during COVID, the sheriff shouldn't have been enforcing, these health.
These draconian laws.
Right, these health shutdowns or whatever.
Yeah.
And where he was, all for, he was basically saying that red flag laws are specifically gun violence.
He was a Democrat and she was a Republican.
Well, right? In a lot of ways.
I mean, in a lot of ways.
So, although, I don't know. They both have, of course, their strengths and weaknesses. So, the question is, would he have won without us endorsing Kelly Martinez? Did we actually have an impact?
I totally think so.
Well, here's a number I want to show you. And by the way, I'm extremely proud. San Diego County Gunners has done a lot of really good things. We have a lot of accomplishments under our belt. But, Hemmerling turned out to be, it wasn't just a matter of, hey, this one's vanilla, the other's chocolate, but they're both ice cream. He's a bad guy. His campaign was horribly ugly. He was shifty. He should be nowhere near public policy. He should be nowhere near power.
Right.
And we kept him from that.
And I think what happened there has restored my faith in the political system. Because I've not been really positive or happy about the way the elections have been going.
And it's groups like us. If we have groups like us, that's how we restore integrity.
Right.
So here's my number. Okay. So who is the Republican candidate for governor?
Oh, was it Khile or something like that?
Well, this is exactly my point. Nobody's heard of this guy.
That's
which is I'm not criticizing him.
no. But I didn't know who he was.
But so if you voted, if you walked in San Diego, I'm looking at the numbers. If you walked into the voter booth and voted for the Republican candidate for governor, he wasn't famous. He didn't have a lot of name ID. You generally vote for you generally vote for Republicans. Okay, he didn't pull a bunch of Democrats. Democrats like Newsom, so Newsom's fairly popular with Democrats. So I'm going to say 95+% of people who voted for the Republican for governor are generally vote for Republicans. I think it's a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah, and who else was on the ballot?
Well, Newsom.
Well, I mean, it's for Republicans.
Yeah. Well, so I'm getting there. there. So
speed it up.
I'm getting there. I got to set it up, though.
It's only a 2-hour show.
Patience. I'm building here. And most people who went to vote, they voted for the governor candidate. Okay. So he got almost 425,000 votes. 425,000 votes for the Republican for governor. Okay. 425.
Okay.
Now look at the Republican who ran for sheriff, John Hemmerling. 347,000. 347,000. Wow. Now, what does that mean? That means that over 93,000 Republicans went in, voted for whoever for governor, voted for this Republican they probably hadn't heard of for governor, but hey, I'm a Republican, so that's who I vote for, and then voted for the Democrat for sheriff. Over 93,000. There's a 93,000 person difference. Yeah. So the Republican governor candidate got 93,000 more votes than the Republican sheriff. So 93,000 voted for the Democrat for sheriff, Kelly Martinez. What organization was out there telling Republicans to vote for a Democrat for sheriff? Us.
Your voter guide. Even DeMaio's guide was for Hemmerling.
It was. And that's a whole segment and story in and of
but
itself.
I'm just saying the DeMaio's guide was pretty big. It was pretty inclusive.
Yep.
And he got the word out
and
like
really,
nobody's business.
There was the only difference between our voter guides, the reform by Carl DeMaio and ours, the only difference in candidates was the sheriff.
Right.
He ended up endorsing Hemmerling, and then of course we endorsed Kelly Martinez, and she still, like I said, 93,000 Republicans listened to San Diego County gun owners.
But don't you also agree that Democrats vote for Democrats, Republicans vote for Democrats, and in most cases, whether they're qualified or not? I've had more. I've had more people tell me I am not. In fact, I was pitching Martinez,
right?
And I said she's a Democrat. He said I don't care what she is. I'm not voting for her.
Yeah,
I will not vote for her. Democrat.
So that goes back to where I started the segment. Is in this election, particularly, people were very, very loyal to their party. Because Democrats have made they've given themselves such a black eye. So it wasn't
black enough. We still got Newsom.
Well, we still got Newsom, but the good news is that people say, hey, you know what? San Diego County gun owners, they made their case. We got the word out, and people voted for Kelly Martinez, despite the fact that she's a Democrat. 93,000 Republicans.
And if you talk to her, or if you listen to her on our show, she would be somebody you would vote for.
I think she's fantastic, and so now, we're going to hold her feet to the fire. We're going to make sure that she continues to
do what she said.
Not just do a good job with CCWs, but solve the problem.
Yeah,
we cannot have a 9, 10, 11-month wait time for CCWs anymore. 3 months. Get it down to 3 months.
Tops.
But she's in office. She's done a good job. A lot of ways she's done a great job. But now we got her in. Great. Keep the campaign promises, and we're going to make sure that she does that. But I wanted to show that we absolutely made a difference.
Right.
We absolutely got her elected.
Well, we've done that in a lot of areas, really, if you really want to, toot your own horn.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, we have done, but it's been hard work. You've been working your you-know-what off for years. You've always had the right goal. You've always had the same goal. You haven't wavered.
Well, Dane
you dumped all your parties. You said, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not an independent.
Right.
The hell with all you. I'm going to go forward with what I think is right.
The Dane White, we talked about him in Escondido. He got elected. It was a tight margin. He repeatedly throughout said, hey, I was walking precincts. He'd send me a text. I was walking precincts. a number of people said, "Oh, yeah, I know who you are." Thanks to San Diego County gun owners.
I agree.
So it's a good election for us,
Right.
and our goal for 2023 is to sign up 1,000 additional new members,
But we can do better.
and we're gonna rule the town.
But we can do better.
We can always do better.
We can do better. Right, Action Jackson?
Absolutely.
Inland Empire gun owners strive to be the ounce of prevention in the fight for your gun rights. How do they do it? They do it by fundraising and getting local pro-gun candidates elected. So become a member today. Go to iegunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsibly gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment right. That's iegunowners.com/join.
Welcome to Gun Owners Radio. We have all kinds of excitement here in the next hour, including we have a winner. Did you know we have a winner, Dave?
Didn't know we had a contest.
We're apparently had a contest,
Apparently.
and we apparently have picked a winner. His name is
Sure it is.
yeah, I know, I can't quite.
How about Hwang Lee?
Hywon Lee,
Hwang Lee.
Hyewon, and then Lee. Congratulations,
Is that right, Action Jackson?
Mr. Lee.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay,
Nice,
so
there
I
you go.
forget what you win, but
You win this little squiggly box.
it's exciting. Yeah, you win the QR code.
Yeah.
It's exciting, and congratulations. I think what happened is you subscribe to our email list, and if you go to Gun Owners Radio and subscribe to our email list, you'll be entered to win something cool.
Cool.
He won free tickets to the Christmas party here in San Diego.
Oh, cool.
Oh wait, that's already free. Never
Yeah.
mind. Sorry.
Well,
That's why he's got the tickets.
then
Oh, there you go.
everybody's a winner.
That's right. Yay!
We're also going to talk to Sam the Gunman a little bit later on Stump My Nephew. And in the next segment, we're going to talk to Stephen Gutowski, he's actually a Second Amendment reporter
Mm-hmm.
and writer and commentator. And he just got hired on CNN.
Did he really?
Yeah, which is
How long is that going to last?
not known. Well, CNN, of course, I don't
They're
want to.
trying.
Well, they just had a big shift, right? They fired some of their jerks, and they're hiring apparently some non-jerks. They're going with the
trying.
non-jerk
Yeah, they're
employee.
Well, they got all these Twitter people who can come work for them.
Well, I think that.
I mean, they've got a ton of people. As long as you don't have to work hard
I
and be a real reporter.
yeah, or actually, get out of bed to go to work.
Yeah.
They, I think that they're trying to increase their viewership from the 17 that currently watch
Right.
CNN. It might be 17, it might be up to 18.
But all
viewers.
those stations, MSNBC moved Lemon to the morning show. It's a total bust.
I heard that Don Lemon.
Lemon.
They gave him his own show in the morning
With
and,
two other ladies.
and it just
Crashed.
Just crashed. Is it
crashed.
still on?
It's still on. And another was Joy Behar. She's real close to being sent south.
Aw.
I know.
I didn't even watch. I have not. I can honestly say I haven't watched cable. I certainly haven't watched cable news in over a year. It's just gone. It's just not even part of my life
I
anymore.
just look. I'll get it on my phone.
Yeah.
Just little
Well,
blurbs.
sometimes I'll watch like a clip of some,
Yeah.
like an interview or something on
Right.
YouTube or something like that. But I do not miss cable in any way.
Well, the problem is, the left can say what they want, but the right are the ones that have got the super high numbers. I mean, you've got Tucker Carlson. You've got, whether you like him or not, you've got Gutfeld, who's a comedian.
Right.
And he's the number one watch show in the evening hour, up against Colbert and the rest of them.
I wonder if of course, conservative talk radio has always done better
Yes.
too. I wonder if it's a matter. I don't know this, but I wonder if it's a matter of, you have CNN. There are so many news sources for folks that are generally on the left. I wonder if and there's just one.
Well,
for
Babylon B
conservatives.
is back. They got that back on Twitter.
But I mean, on cable news,
There is nothing.
yeah, you're watching Fox. That's it.
That's it.
So,
Because
but I wonder if you add up all the people that watch Fox News and you add up all the people that watch CNN, NBC,
MSNBC.
MSNBC, all the left wing outlets. I wonder how big a difference it is.
It's huge.
Is it really?
It's huge.
So it's not just a matter that it's diluted.
Just like Tucker Carlson alone is in the millions.
Wow.
And MSNBC is like 30, 40, or 300, 400,000. But
Hmm.
he's in the millions.
300,000.
Yeah. which isn't much.
I think I think we get about 300,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, and then you've got Hannity, and then you've got the Five. The Five is actually the #1 cable show.
I don't know the Five. What's the Five?
That's on at 2:00 in the afternoon with
yeah.
Gutfeld.
Okay, I know the Five.
And Perino and Waters.
Dana Perino.
And the wrestler too, Tyrus. He's sometimes
love
on
that
there.
guy.
Yeah.
Those two don't even. They're so funny. She's like 5 feet tall,
And he's
like 7 feet
6'9".
tall. Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, it's that well.
Yeah, I've got a photo of her someplace, of the two of them standing together, and it's ridiculous. Yeah, she's ridiculous. But you know what? It's I know you don't watch it, but I can honestly say, the conservative shows don't make any assumptions. They wait for facts. They don't. They just seem to tell the news the way you would like both sides to tell the news.
Well, I think the middle's moved.
I agree.
The middle has definitely moved,
and the big corporations have seen it.
I think that I give this big old disclosure. I'm not left. I'm not right. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat.
Mm-hmm. You look at Twitter?
Not really.
You don't watch
not
Twitter
really.
either.
In fact, a big regret. But let me talk about Twitter in 2 seconds. The left has gone way left.
Too far left.
Way left. So the middle looks right.
But they can't get back.
Well,
that's the problem.
Something's got to happen. It's starting to feel like when you got guys like Bill Maher, who are going, look, this woke thing's ridiculous, and you got guys like Joe Rogan. When he first came out, no one would have thought of him as a right winger, and now he's generally he's not right. But now he's generally kind of criticized as So when you see kind of those kind of guys, and suddenly, and who's the other? Who's the British dude? Well, there's Piers Morgan. But then who's the British guy? He's an actor. You know what I'm talking about? Dark hair, tall, skinny guy. He's in a couple of movies. He was in
I thought you were thinking of Helton.
Anyway, what's his name? Anyway, when you start seeing these guys go, oh, wait. When they start seeing, seeming reasonable, Russell Brand.
Right.
When they start going, wait, this is ridiculous. It feels like things might be, may have gone too far, and pendulum's starting to swing back.
And what drives television? Commercials.
Money. Yeah.
Money.
Right.
And when the left, even though that might be their opinion and that might be the way they see things, the money's not coming in.
Right. They
It
got to do
doesn't make
something.
a difference what your message is. It's not working.
Well, so Twitter, you're asking about Twitter. A couple years ago when Twitter got really bad, kind of at its peak badness.
Right.
I really said, you know what? We're pulling San Diego County gun owners and Orange and Inland. We're pulling them off Twitter.
Okay.
And we're going to put a little note that says, look, we're done. We're done with all this censorship and ridiculousness on Twitter. I decided to just disengage.
Okay.
So we didn't put up a note. We didn't pull ourselves off Twitter, but we stopped using Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish so badly I could go back and say, you know what, we're pulling ourselves off Twitter. Now that Musk bought it, and I'm, it's been a month or two or whatever, and he's starting to make positive changes. I wish I could come back and make a big statement like, "Hey, we're back now." Because,
well, you could.
Maybe we will.
Well,
maybe I just did.
Well, yeah, because I mean, when you stop and think about whether you like Musk or not, he is a businessman,
right?
And
I like his decisions.
I mean, I can't imagine me wanting you to work hard. He wants his people to work hard and believe it, and that's one way you're going to get people to believe in your company.
Well, he's letting people back on the.
I don't know about Kathy Griffith.
Why? What do you mean?
Because she was the one that chopped off Trump's head and was.
Oh.
Well, I mean, but she got away with it.
You know what though? Okay, so
do that with Hillary.
Bobart, I hear you, but okay, so Bobart, the Congress person in Colorado, she won, but it was looking like she was going to lose.
Right.
And some left wing from the DNC said that it might be OnlyFans gain, right? Basically implying that if she wasn't going to make Congress, that she was going to make a career on OnlyFans.
Yeah,
that's a funny joke.
Yeah,
that's a funny joke.
Yeah, but we don't. We don't joke anymore.
Well, I know, but so many people on the right who complain about snowflakes and whatever, they went crazy. And I'm going, wait. That's an actual funny joke.
I want Don Rickles back for 6 months. That's all I want.
That's what we're trying to train. Speaking of,
he watches Don all the time.
We're trying to train Action Jackson to be the
Don
next
Rickles.
Rickles.
That would be great.
What do you
Remember
say,
when
bud?
politicians couldn't wait to be trashed by him?
All right, before we start the next segment, we're going to have you bust out your joke, okay?
All right. Go ahead.
All
Hit
right.
it.
Or do you know it now? All right, let's do
Sure
it
he
now.
does. Let's do it now.
Fire away. You got a joke? Just like Wrinkles.
What do Thanksgiving and Halloween have in common?
I don't know. What do Thanksgiving
do
and
they?
Halloween have in common?
One has gobblers, the other has goblins.
Gun
Burn.
Owners
Very Rickles-esque.
Radio. Hey, you know, a lot of companies are so frustrated with their websites. It looks old, it's out of date, and it's not getting customers. But Sage Tree gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is super easy. Call 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100. And let them fix your website today.
They do fantastic work. I can absolutely vouch for that. Okay, so our next guest, Stephen Gutowski, is going to be I believe the title is going to be Second Amendment contributor to CNN. Is that right, Stephen?
Yeah, contributor and focusing on gun policy and politics over there.
And that's, you said CNN.
Yeah, that's right. In addition to, of course, I run the Reload. That's the publication that I founded, and so this is sort of like a part-time job on top of me still reporting over at the Reload.
Would you say that this is their way of trying to steer the ship a little bit more to the right? Not hard, but a little bit more to the right instead of hard left?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that's probably a fair way of looking at it, at least as far as trying to bring in more perspectives than they used to have over the last couple of years. They went through a management change there, and so they're trying to do things a little bit differently now, and I think this is part of that.
Was that the feeling you had when you had your interview for the position? I mean, they kind of laid out, what they were looking for, and it fit what you were willing to give?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, obviously they're not talking about it in terms of like, oh, we're trying to move right or anything like that.
No. Yeah.
They want to find people who have expertise on the topics that they want to cover, and this was an area where they were looking to add people who had knowledge, which, as you're probably aware, is not a very common thing in media. So, that's more what they were, talking to me about when we were deciding on this, whether to do this or not. Is they're looking for me to give my informed, takes on what's happening. They're looking for analysis. They're not looking for me to be an opinion guy or a talking head type. And so that's something that I was interested in doing. They're not trying to tell me what to say or feed me talking points or anything like that. And so I'm looking to give it a go.
So what is your background that caused them to choose you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been reporting on guns for the last decade or so. I was at the Washington Free Beacon, which is a conservative publication based out of D.C., for almost 7 years doing, beat reporting on firearms policy and politics. And I'm a certified firearms instructor, certified for basic pistol. I mean, a lot of people are, but I am as well. And, I own guns and shoot guns and build guns. I have a lot of, it takes up a lot of my free time as well as my professional life. But, I've been on the cover of Time, and I've broken a lot of stories like, the background of President Biden's first ATF nominee, which caused the White House to pull him, was one of my big stories at the Reload, which I launched about a year ago. So, I've had a lot of success so far, but looking to do a lot more too in the coming years here.
Have they given you a time slot? Are you on any particular time during the day or evening?
No. This is contributorship. So basically, I could be on any of their shows that want to do a gun segment. I've been on their 4 p.m. slot. I've helped with research for stories as well on some of their primetime shows when they've talked about guns to this point. I've given comment for some of their online CNN.com stories, that kind of thing. Anybody who's at CNN that wants to ask me to come on or needs help on a story, I'm there to help.
I would consider that a serious feather in your cap to be able to do this, because you now have an opportunity. I mean, talking to us is you're preaching to the choir, but talking to the CNN viewer, you're bringing a total different perspective prior to what they were, preaching to the choir. Now they're getting well, I can honestly say, and I don't know you personally, but they're going to get a true, picture of what's going on in the gun world.
Yeah, that's my hope, right? Is just to bring more knowledge to the operation, to the audience. I mean, that's what you want to do as a journalist, right? Is to inform people, to give them the facts and help them make informed decisions when they're going about their lives. And I think the mainstream media, major media outlets have been pretty bad at that when it comes to gun policy to this point. And so anything I can do, it's obviously a small thing. I'm just one guy, but anything that I can do in that front is, I think, beneficial.
How's your reception at the station?
It's been great. Yeah, it's been great so far. I mean, I think there's a lot of reporters there who want to improve their reporting on the topic. I think that's been the case for me whenever I do talk to major media reporters. Is oftentimes, obviously, there's a political bias that goes on. I'm not going to deny that.
No.
And I'm not necessarily talking about CNN in particular, but just the media at large.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of the problems you see, these constant mistakes about the difference between semi-automatic and fully automatic, talking about the gun show loophole, stuff like that, base level misunderstandings of how guns work or how gun policy works. A lot of that's based on just a total lack of knowledge in the industry. There aren't people focused on this topic at most major outlets. And so when they go to write about it, it's almost always surrounding a mass shooting, right? And it's almost always a reporter who just doesn't have knowledge on the subject. And so usually reporters want to get the facts right. I find they're just oftentimes not equipped to do it. And so hopefully more outlets will do something like this, bring in somebody who knows more about what they're talking about in this subject.
What's your biggest fear about going forward in this position with CNN?
Yeah, I mean, the concern is always that you're that maybe management changes and they try to use you in a different way, and you just get stuck in that sort of talking head back and forth. Here's what we want you to say, or else you're gone kind of thing. I'm not really concerned about that, to be honest. Every conversation I've had with them has been extremely positive, and everyone there is working together to try to improve this coverage area. It's something I think is going to be really good. The other concern would just be not that it doesn't pan out the way that we all hope it will, and I don't get on very often, or they stop reaching out to me for advice on stories or anything, and I just don't have the impact that I was hoping to have. I don't think that's what's going to happen.
I think it's crucial. I think it's extremely important. I don't know how much you know about Gun Owners Radio or San Diego County Gun Owners or Inland Empire or anything, our organizations at all, but it is a major piece of our strategy to reach out to media. Yeah, I think that.
Actually, I had someone from your organization on my podcast not too long ago.
Okay, cool. So I think that it's been a huge mistake to gun owners have made a huge mistake over the past 30 years, where we've kind of hunkered down and said, we're going to ignore mainstream media, and then that's allowed the other side to tell their story. So I think that's great. I think it's wonderful, but it definitely, just from my experience with news, it still makes me nervous. You know what I mean?
That means you're still not
certainly
watching.
Well, it's just the trust. I'm just like, you say one thing and they twist it the other way.
Yeah, and look, I think that's something that CNN is management is aware of, that sort of perception among gun owners, and that's why they want to bring in someone like me, and not just me. They're trying to bring in people from all kinds of perspectives. They've got someone from the Guardian and someone from the Trace. So they're, it's not like they're just becoming going the exact opposite direction, and it's going to be written by the NRA or anything like that. But it's something where they're attempting to have differing perspectives so they can report in a more, give more quality journalism.
And improve accuracy.
That's what you want to see from them.
And improve accuracy. So now, are you allowed to just be yourself, or do you have to submit a script as to what you're going to talk about?
No. I'm totally allowed to be myself and say things I believe. That's what they want me there for. That's everything they've said.
That's awesome.
And they expected backlash and understood when there was some backlash from gun control groups, and it's they seem committed to doing this in a serious way, and I've been really thankful for that so far, and I think it's going to pan out with better overall journalism, and that's what I want to see, and I think that's what they want to see.
And by the way, commend you. That's awesome. I think it's fantastic. Do they have like a like a gun control equivalent? Is there somebody on their staff that's the opposite of you?
Yeah, they have
347,000.
Sure, but they've got somebody from the Trace, which is a publication like the Reload, but they're funded in part by Everytown, and so they have that perspective as well. So it's it doesn't mean that I'm going to be writing all their stories that are about guns, or I'm going to have input into every segment they run or anything remotely like that. It's just.
But you're there.
I'm a resource for their shows. These shows are produced by their own teams, and hopefully I'll be able to build relationships with all those teams and be able to give an honest perspective to them whenever they are doing a gun story or come on the show and be the person that they interview. That sort of thing is what I expect to happen. And I've talked to the other members of the Guns in America beat that they're putting together, and they seem like great people who, at the very least, are respectful and open to dialogue, which is all you can really ask for. Right?
No, that is. Is he staying with us?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Hang in there. This is way too important. Hey, is there a more effective tool that empowers a 100-pound woman to defend against a 200-pound attacker? That's why it's so important to women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free to sign up. Go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and the Inland Empire. Get help today. Notmesd.org. Get a bunch of your girlfriends together and have the time of your life. All right, we're going to go back to Stephen, but before we do that, Action Jackson has a very important question for you, Stephen.
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
What's your favorite gun?
Good question.
That's a 9-year-old shooter. Yeah. That's a 9-year-old shooter that's our co-host, just so you'll know.
All right. I have a lot. I'm going to say the Chris Vector in full auto.
Oh,
wow.
Mackerel.
If that's fair, I don't know.
Well, wait a minute. You must not be in California.
I was going to say, it's not fair to say that to a bunch of Californians.
Since we only have 3 guns on the roster. 2 BB guns and a Glock.
I can't afford a full auto Chris Vector either, so. But how about, let's see, I really like the 6-hour P320 X5. How about that?
That's a good one.
That's still not on the roster.
Hey, well, I'm just impressed you know what the roster is. By the way, everybody, we're talking to Stephen Gutowski. He's from The Reload. If you go to thereload.com, they describe The Reload. It's an independent, subscriber-supported publication founded by award-winning journalist Stephen Gutowski, who we're talking to. I like this section in your website here where you say that The Reload's focused on sober, serious reporting on firearms policy and politics to accomplish those goals. No hot takes, no screaming, no manipulating, just reporting. And I have a feeling that's exactly why you got the gig with CNN. I think that's probably exactly what they're at least attempting.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And I think that's something that sets us apart at the Reload, a way that we're a little bit different from some of the other gun publications or some of the major media outlets. A lot of major media outlets, they might know politics fairly well. They might understand what's going on Capitol Hill pretty good, but they don't know a lot about guns, right? And then a lot of gun publications, they know a lot about guns. They could tell you the muzzle velocity of, the 5.56 off the top of their head, but they might not know as much about what's going on Capitol Hill. And so we try to bridge that gap. And I think that is something that's been appealing to CNN. We don't run editorials. We try to stay away from hot takes, and we try to focus on reporting and analysis. And I think that's what they want from me.
Do you have, something happened to me a few years ago. New York Times reached out, not exactly a pro-gun, media outlet or thought of as a pro-gun media outlet, right? Would you, I don't know, you'd agree that New York Times doesn't, right? I mean, that's not a outlandish thing.
I would agree, yeah.
They reached out and they said, hey, we're running this story on ARs, basically, or assault weapons. I forget how they phrased it. Semi-automatic guns, assault weapon ban, something having to do with ARs. They said, we really want to get this right. And we want to get more things right when it comes to guns. We want more accuracy is really what they were describing. So will you help us out? And I got really excited because, that's the New York Times. Like, all right, cool. Help them out. They said, hey, what about this? What about that? What about the other thing? Explain this to me. And I helped them with the accuracy of their story. But then the story came out, and it was as anti-gun as you could get, but it was extremely accurate. It was, in other words, they got all the terminology right, but it was still, and I felt really betrayed.
Did they spell your name right?
They spell. I honestly, I think they didn't even use my name, which I was kind of thankful for.
I was gonna say,
because I'm like, oh God, thank God, because I don't want to be it. What are your thoughts on that? I guess when I asked earlier,
before you do that, did you respond back to him and say, "Excuse me"?
Honestly, I think I just walked away because like I said, they had all the terminology correct. They didn't say like fully semi-automatic or whatever. You know what I mean? They had all the terminology correct, but then I felt like I just contributed to making their opinion
valid,
less attackable, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it really kind of made me step back and rethink some things. And I don't know if it was kind of a rookie thing or I had blinders on because it was such a big publication. I was impressed. What are your thoughts on that, though? And when I asked you in the first part of the segment, like, what are your fears? That's kind of what I was thinking. Is that something that scares you that might happen?
Yeah. Well, that's actually really interesting, right? Because for me, it's I do my best to help reporters understand the issue and report on it accurately. And I can't, there's not as much you can do about what their editorial point of view is going to be. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like what you're talking about here. Like, they got the facts right, but what they were arguing for, what they were pushing for with this piece, it was anti-gun, right? That's what you're saying,
right? It was kind of a look.
Harder, right?
It was kind of a look. If
I get what you mean.
If you're gonna ban ARs, this is the way to do it. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, I kind of, I kind of helped them.
Well, this is kind of the question I had about when you go on air. And I guess the second part of my question is, when you go on air, is it live or is it live to tape? And if it's live to tape, do you get to see what they've done?
It'll probably almost always be live.
Okay.
I understand what you mean, though. You're saying, well, what happens if you go on in good faith,
right?
And then they manipulate what you're saying to push a different point of view than what you're trying to advocate for.
Right.
Right. I mean, and that's always a risk, but I think, I don't get any sign that CNN is going to try to do something like that with me. And I would, to me, it's like, it's one thing if, the reporter takes you out of context, or they get facts wrong that when they're talking about something. It's different. It's a different issue where, all right, they got everything right and they listened to what you said in terms of how to describe this properly, but you didn't like the message that they were putting forward with the reporting. Like, I get that, and that's that's just something you can't really control in terms of, like, the New York Times is editorially a liberal publication. Their editors, their point of view is left wing. They're in New York City, right? And so their publication is going to be more favorable from an editorial standpoint, from like how they look at the world towards gun control than you or I might be. But I still think it's valuable to help reporters even in those situations, because it's important for us to be able to talk from the same understanding of how things work, the same language, the same fundamental basics about how guns work, how gun laws work, what we think should be different about them. We should at least be able to have that conversation from the same same starting point, if that makes sense. So even though they put out a piece whose what they're advocating for is very different from what you believe, it probably is still better off for you having that's my point of view on things, at least. Like, you're better off talking to them and helping them at least get the facts right, so you can have a more reasonable conversation with somebody after they write a piece like that. It's like, okay, at least we're starting from the same point now. I don't agree with the position that you're pushing, and here's why.
Right.
But at least we can have an actual conversation about it, instead of like, oh, I want to ban the fully semi-auto, rounds that explode the lungs through the Kevlar. There's a lot of gibberish out there, and I think you're better off, even in a situation. Now, if they take you out of context, if they quote you and try to imply that you're supportive of whatever position they're pushing when you're not, that's a different problem, right? That's an ethical problem. That's like, then you'd want to complain or go to another reporter and have them write about what the Times did to you, or whatever publication might be. Now, I would hope that the Times wouldn't do anything like that. They have, standards for that sort of thing. No professional reporter should be taking you out of context or pretending you support a position you don't. But you get the difference there that I'm trying to make.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, from the CNN, have you done any segments so far, and have you watched them, and everything is exactly what you stated?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done several, and
all right. Well, that's because you can always walk away.
There haven't been any issues like that.
Because you can always walk away.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about it too. Like, it's a contract. It's a year contract. So
okay.
I'm hoping it's going well so far.
Yeah, hang in there for sure. I think it's good.
End up well.
It's really good.
Yeah, if it falls apart, it falls apart. But I don't think it will. I don't think it will either.
I think you sound your work and I think you're tough enough to make this thing work. And I think you've made a huge leap. But I think it's an important one. How much do you think the Bruin decision helped them make the decision to reach out to you?
That's a good question. I mean, it probably has an effect, right? Because it's going to generate a lot of news. The Bruin decision is changing the legal landscape for guns in America, and so there's going to be a lot more news stories coming out of the courts, in the coming months and years. I mean, you've already seen it. You guys have seen it out there in California a little bit. But there have been a lot of major rulings because of the Bruin decision already, and it's only been a couple of months. So I would imagine that played a role in terms of they want to staff up a little bit on this topic, because it's going to be more of a prevalent news story around the country thanks to that Supreme Court ruling.
It does feel like it feels like the ruling may have kind of. It almost feels, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't in the room when they decided to give you a call, but it almost feels like it's like, well, this is the new reality. This is the new culture, and we better get on top of this. Which is, I think, a really, really good sign. Can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking that role and coming on and talking to us about it. Wish you the very, very best of luck. I hope that we
stay in touch.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope to talk to you a lot, and congratulations.
All right, buddy. Man, I'll tell you.
Appreciate it.
So, if people want to follow you around, what's a good way to do it?
Yeah, you can go to thereload.com and sign up for our free weekly newsletter, or you can follow me on Twitter at Stephen Gutowski.
I like your frames there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that looks good. They were gray a minute ago. Did you see that, Dave? They were gray a minute ago. Now they're black.
Wait a minute.
Look at that.
What? What is that guy that
It's like a spy.
Mr. Gadget?
Yeah.
You know-
wait, Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget.
Almost a professor.
You know Inspector Gadget? Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah. You don't even know who's Spanky in the gang, aren't you? All right, hey, it's a self-defense event happens in seconds. In the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. And I pray. It didn't say 4.
No, change forever. I was just repeating. I was
Don't ever-
emphasizing forever.
Don't ever do that again.
All right, I'm sorry.
I am right in the middle of my great read here.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Where's that one word you hate that I screwed? He took it out.
No, that was in the other one.
Yeah, I don't think.
Frustrated.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Hey, but I pray you never are forced to shoot in self-defense. But if you must, then you got to be ready. And that's why USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. That's uscca.com/GOR.
All right, it's everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. Sam the Gunman is, of course, my nephew. And we found out years ago he's really good at gun trivia. So if you send us a question and it has to do with gun trivia, and we use it on the air, we'll send you a hat or a shirt, whichever you prefer. And if you actually stump my nephew, we will give you a special prize. So without further ado, Sam, you there?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Good, man. How are you?
Not bad.
All right, cool. Did you do any shooting lately?
Not recently. Not within the past week, anyway.
Any new guns?
Yeah.
Oh, you want him to make us feel bad?
I know. What'd you get? I didn't know this.
I picked up at a one of the smaller gun shows we have here locally. One I've actually never been to before. I picked up a Gewehr 98, produced in 1918 by Mauser under contract for the Ottoman Empire.
Do you have to wait 10 days to get it?
I did not have to wait 10 days to get it.
You had to wait about 100 years.
I hate this kid.
Yeah, I had to wait, 104 years.
Well, that's awesome.
Is this for display, or are you going to fire it?
Oh, no, I'm going to shoot it. The bore is in great condition. As soon as I find some 7.92, I will shoot it.
That's fantastic. What made you pick that up? Just general interest?
It was a good deal, and when I saw the price tag on it, I pulled my friend over and asked him what was wrong with it.
Wow. And was there anything wrong with it?
Heck no, the guy was just divesting a lot of his collection, so I managed to snag one for a relatively good price.
Did you ask him if he's moving to California?
I did not.
That's the only reason he'd probably do that.
Or he just has
it's a bolt-action military rifle from World War I. I don't think it's banned in California.
Everything's banned in California.
I do find that people outside of like the 6 or 7 states, California, Massachusetts, like all the states that have really restrictive gun laws, people who in these other free states are much more likely to get rid of their guns. You know what I mean? Like they buy so many guns.
Oh yeah, they don't have a problem.
Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. Where we hang on to everything we got.
We hoard.
Yeah,
we hoard them because you never know. All right, my friend. The other place that you're going to be able to see Sam the Gunman is on in our blog section. He now writes a blog a week for us, and you're going to post a new one tomorrow, right?
Yes, it will be a book review. That's all the information you're getting from me thus far.
Okay, a book review. Fantastic. Okay. Like Choose Your Own Adventure? Because Action Jackson here brought me a Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Those are great, but it's not one of those.
All right, here we go. Action Jackson, are you ready to ask the Sam the Gunman the question here?
Yep.
Fire away, my friend.
Right. Charles from Los Angeles asks, which famous firearm designer started when he was 16 years old?
Charles from Los Angeles, thanks very much for writing in. Which famous firearm designer started when he was 16 years old. Part of me wants to say John Browning, but I had thought it was 14. First of all, is it John Browning?
Well, we can't. You got to have a final answer. You can't. We're not gonna.
You know what?
You got to pick
John Moses Browning. That's going to be my final answer.
Unfortunately, that is not correct.
Okay.
Not you. But we will give you. We'll give you a second. You win a second guess.
That's not fair. What?
Just
that
for
would
fun.
not be fair to the person asking the question.
Well, we're not gonna. We won't count it, but just for fun.
And we're not going to give him anything anyway, so it's not to worry.
I don't know. How about Bill Ruger?
No,
that's
not
2 for
even.
3.
Okay, so here's the answer. The revolver was first created by Samuel Colt when he was 16 years old. On a voyage to Calcutta aboard the brig Corvo, Colt had the idea for a type of revolver while at sea, inspired by the capstan or windlass, which had a ratchet and pawl mechanism that he would later say gave him the idea for the revolver designs. You know what's interesting about that is maybe a year ago, Sam, didn't we have a question about his design and its inspiration by a capstan and a windlass?
I think so.
Yeah, there was a question coming from the other direction about what inspired the revolver design, but the 16 thing is something that I did not know or that had slipped my mind.
That didn't come up in that other last question. I didn't know he was 16 when he designed it. That's pretty amazing.
Good question, though. Who wrote that in? John from Los Angeles, you said?
Yeah. What was the guy's name?
Charles
from L.A. Listening
Charles from Los Angeles. Great question. You got me this time.
The City of Angels. Thank you, Charles. That was an excellent question. Yeah, we're going to give you a hat or a shirt, and then we'll give you a special prize. I don't know what it'll be, but maybe we'll reach out to you and see what you want, and we'll get you all figured out. Maybe Orange County. What's that?
Denny's Spaghetti.
Denny's Spaghetti. Maybe it'll be Denny's Spaghetti. Orange County Gun Owners is going to have their gun prom coming up in the spring, so maybe we'll give you a couple of tickets. That's just maybe about 45 minutes or an hour drive from you, so maybe we'll get that. All right, my friend. Well, we look forward to seeing your book report tomorrow. How's it been writing the articles for us?
It's good. I like being able to cover a wide variety of different 2A related topics. It's fun and refreshing because a lot of the blogs out there just hammer on one point until it kind of makes you sick, whereas the SDCGO blog is a lot more varied and interesting.
Yeah, it is. Do you subscribe to the Reload?
No, I don't.
Stephen Gutowski, have you heard of that before?
No, I've never heard of that.
So the Reload is it's a gun website.
Magazine.
Yeah, like like a newsletter. And we just interviewed him. He's going to be a Second Amendment contributor on CNN, believe it or not.
Oh wow, very cool.
Looks like their CNN's kind of. What would you say, Dave? Just kind of
trying to bring the ship right.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, or maybe she tell the truth and they're not making any money and they're bleeding money like crazy. So they're right now decided they better, get with the program or the boat's going to sink.
Yeah, they checked their capstan and their windlass.
Yeah, they
decided to steer the boat to the right.
And they're going to give this guy free range. They're not going to critique his reporting. And it's almost like a very dull light in a very dark room, but it's a light.
Very dull light in a very dark room. I think it's actually he's going to be the one critiquing. It sounds like they're going to say, "Hey, this is what we're going to say," and he's going to go be like, "No, not that, not that, not that."
That's what I'm thinking too.
A technical advisor.
Exactly. So I think that's huge. I mean, kind of an honor that they would even reach out and because the last person who did that to Mike changed his whole story. So that didn't fly.
They didn't. I hope it works because I remember in the
too.
80s, Lynn Russell and CNN, and it was actually a good source of information, and then they just took a really weird turn, and now CNN's kind of a joke, and I mean, that's not good.
No rudder.
I don't want CNN to be a joke. I want CNN to be a reliable news source, and they haven't been in a long time. CNN,
MSNBC,
NPR, PBS, they're not. They have a ridiculous bias, and I don't want that. I want them to be reliable. I don't want them to be right or left. I want them to be news.
That's right.
So I wish them the very best.
Well, they got to fire everybody and get real journalists in there then.
If they could find any.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Who's going to go to work for them? Oh, this guy did.
Action Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're really expensive. I've seen your request.
I've seen your expense report.
Yeah, that's right.
Young man.
I mean, Legos,
Jolly
cookies,
Ranchers.
and you don't like M&M peanuts, so that's a negative.
I never said I didn't like M&M peanuts.
You said you like the chocolate ones better. He's thinking about it.
Look at these two. This is the weirdest conversation.
Yeah.
Sam, thank you very much. Awesome job as always.
Yep.
Looking forward to seeing your book report, and that'll go out in our newsletter on Thursday. It'll be up on the website probably tomorrow, and then it'll go out on the newsletter.
Hey, and have a fabulous Thanksgiving with you and the family.
Thanks. You too. Sorry I cost you a couple of tickets.
Nah, that's okay. It's coming out of Mike's paycheck.